Erik Horne here with Brett Dawson after the Thunder's 122-112 loss. It was 112, right?
That is correct.
Okay, 122-112 loss to the Houston Rockets. Look, Houston Rockets are a better team. We knew that going in. We thought the Thunder was going to, be able to push them a little bit, and this game really wasn't as close as the score indicated. I mean, 10 points at the end. Houston makes 17 three-pointers. They play better defense than the Thunder. They limit the Thunder in the paint, which is what the Thunder is supposed to be great at. And basically, Houston just showed why they were the better team tonight on both ends.
Yep. Houston turned the ball over a lot, and that kind of kept the Thunder relatively closer than it seemed like they should be. But they also forced a lot of turnovers. The Thunder had a bunch of turnovers. Russell Westbrook had 9 of them. Paul George was really ineffective early. He got going some in the second half, but it never really felt like a threat. Whatever the Thunder did, whatever run it made, other than a brief little thing, they got it to within 3 in the third. I think Houston came right back and made it 3 to get it to 6. Never really felt like the Thunder was going to make a push at this thing.
And they get it to 3 in the third by going to Steven Adams and Paul George. Steven Adams and Paul George were guys that really struggled in the first half. They were 1 of 8 combined. Adams only had 1 shot, which is really inexcusable. But, credit Houston's defense first because they did a great job of packing the paint. They forced Russell Westbrook into some turnovers. The Thunder had 20 turnovers. The team, Westbrook had 9 of them. And they really limited Paul George and Steven Adams' impact early in the game. And when your 2 guys who are the most efficient guys in your team at doing the things that are what wins you games in the NBA, making layups. Steven Adams shoots a high percentage around the rim, making threes. Paul George is the Thunder's best three-point shooter. When you take those 2 things away, you're counting on players who are typically inefficient in terms of their shots. Now, Russell Westbrook was efficient tonight, but he was also 0-4 from 3, took some bad threes. Nullifying Steven Adams and Paul George was big for the Houston Rockets tonight.
Yeah, some of what they did defensively gave Carmelo Anthony some opportunities. He played great early, shot the ball well, said he felt fresh. He didn't play in Portland and said he was refreshed. And he got off to a great start. But, what Houston did, and Carmelo, frankly, hit some pretty tough shots. It's not like Houston ignored him. But the fact that Houston's defensive focus was elsewhere certainly helped Carmelo get going. Paul George just really couldn't get into any kind of offensive rhythm in that first half at all. And Steven Adams, I think you're right. It was more the Houston defense than it was stuff that the Thunder wasn't doing with Adams. The Rockets have a good defense, and Jenny Carlson wrote about that for the Oklahoman, which you can read at newsok.com. Their defense is good, and it's frankly kind of better than the Thunder's right now. And that's saying something for a team that was built to be an offensive juggernaut and is.
And look, let's just be frank about what's going on here. The Thunder is built around a player who's inefficient from the three-point line, and who some people would argue is not the natural creator that a James Harden or a Chris Paul is. The Houston Rockets moved the ball incredibly well tonight, and those guys, James Harden and Chris Paul, they create such great shots for the guys around them. James Harden and Chris Paul are both 38% three-point shooters entering tonight. Russell Westbrook was shooting 28% from 3 entering tonight. It's a big difference in a league where your key players are the guys that are doing what matters most.
Yeah.
And for all of Russell Westbrook's greatness, he's a guy that, when the Thunder's not hitting threes, and Russell Westbrook is the guy that your team is built around, and they're able to shut off the lane and keep him from getting to the rim, it's going to make it difficult for the Thunder to keep up with teams like Houston.
Yeah.
Oh, and it doesn't hurt that the Thunder's defense is terrible right now.
Well, that's the other thing. The problem, too, is that Houston puts you in such bad situations, and the Thunder is susceptible to be put in those situations because Houston gets into the paint, and the Thunder helps in the paint because it has to, because it's trying to take away the deep paint. The problem is what happened tonight over and over and over again. The Thunder was leaving corners, and then even if it didn't leave a corner, the pass to the corner went quickly to the wing. Houston with 2 passes, it felt like Houston was always 2 passes away from a great three-point shot, and they'll always make those passes.
James Harden, MVP this year, Brett?
I think it's a lock. Anthony Davis is, as we speak, playing great in a game and has been playing great this season. But I think Harden is as close to a lock as you can be on March 6th or 7th or whatever today is. This team is rolling. He's having his statistical season is a little different. He's not putting up the crazy total numbers, but he's scoring more. He's shooting better. He's more efficient. He's shooting more threes than he ever has, and shooting them more efficiently than in almost any season of his career. Chris Paul has elevated his game, and the bench around him. Everything's made him a little bit better. And this is a great team. He deserves it.
Another no-excuse game for the Thunder coming up on Thursday against Sacramento at home before playing against San Antonio on Saturday.